up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Everyday EDC. My name is Tyler, and today it is Today is This Knife Thursday. This knife meaning if you looked at all your knives on whatever feeling you're doing, right? So let's say you feel like your favorite knife may change day to day, is what I'm saying, but on Thursday, this morning, or whenever you were getting ready to leave, or whenever you're ready to put your knife in your pocket, whichever knife that you could choose as your only knife out of all your stuff would be the one that you're picking. Doesn't mean it's your overall favorite. It means your overall favorite in the moment, right? So there's that. So let's get started with words, because my words are hard today. Can't get my words out of my mouth. All right. So my fifth pocket knife for today, you guys already seen this several times. This is my Kershaw Launch 10. If I had to choose a fifth pocket knife that is this pocket knife, as in like I had to choose this one forever, it would be this one for a fifth pocket knife that I currently own. Why? Because A, it's kind of sentimental, right? So I should have taken that out of the equation, but you know, I got it as a gift and it doesn't feel right if I were to get rid of it. But B, I've never had a knife more functional than this guy. This guy's just so good. And it probably gets used more than any of my other knives. It's just fantastic. Good blade steel and all that shit. But it kind of works because there's a little bit of a backstory with the next knife regarding the Kershaw Launch 10. So let's go on to the next knife, and then we'll kind of talk about, A, these two are a perfect combination of carries during the day. Just going to say that right now. Perfect combination. So I just realized I went off on a total tangent. I was editing my video, and I was about to tell you guys the backstory of why I think the Smock and the Launch 10 are a perfect combination. So back when I owned my first Smock, I was in love with it. I carried it everywhere. You know what turned me off? Trying to cut a zip tie. Sounds stupid, but I'm like, all right, I'll get in there. Well, it was so tight, I kind of had to go in sideways. Well, when I went in sideways, I wanted to kind of pop it up, but there was no pop point. And this tip is so fine, I was scared to break it, right? I'm like, this sucks. I can't even cut a zip tie with this thing. Well, it was overkill in the first place. In walks the Launch 10. I'm like, oh, shit. Boop. And it popped right up. I'm like, oh. That was the moment I fell in love with the Launch 10. That was kind of the moment that I fell out of love with the Smock. But in hindsight, they serve two entirely different purposes. And this is going to do a lot of things that Launch 10 can't do as well. But the Launch 10 can do a lot of things that this can't do as well. Hence, the combination of the two. Why I think they're a perfect pair. I'm going to insert this into the video. That's all I got. And it's weird how I found this out. So, today, this knife, out of all my stuff, right, my CRKs, my Hinders, my, you name it, Microtech, SOCOM Elite, blah, blah, blah. I was looking at my stuff, and this knife, today, is the one that I would pick over everything. But it's a close call, right? I'll talk about some of the others that, you know, realistically, if I were to sell stuff, I would keep those. I've been thinking about it quite a bit, and it's not what you would normally think. Anyways, here is the knife. This is the Spyderco Smock DLC coated M4 with these scales that I recently got in. These are the Sharp Dress Knife scales. They're black micarta. I wanted a black titanium, but Raylight is all out of them, and I wouldn't have seen it for months anyways. So last night I did a video. I got some editing to do on it because I didn't talk. I'm gonna talk over it, and so I gotta, you know, edit it, and then I'm gonna watch it and kind of talk with the video and kind of walk us through some stuff. But I did install these last night with very little issues. One thing I did notice is I remember the old Smock that I had, and you guys help me out here if you guys had the same experience or whatever. I remember the old Smock that I had a spring with that second D10 ball. You know how people take out that second D10? I don't like taking it out. I did on my first, so I can get that like flippy action, so you can do this with it. Well, guess what? I got it to where it can do that now too. You just got to take care of the insides. But the point being, and it's still snappy. Like, you lose all your detent strength when you switch that out. But when I took it apart, I don't know if the spring shot out or it didn't exist, because all I saw was I popped the scale off the jade scale, and then I'm kind of working the liner off a little bit, because I could have just changed the scales, but I wanted to get in there and clean up the bearings so that I could end up with this action, despite, not having, the second detent taken out. And the ball bearing, that second detent fell. Like, it dropped, and I'm like, oh, shit. That thing is the size of a pinhead. It is not very large. So it fell into my carpet, because it rolls. It's a ball bearing, in essence. But, yeah. So I couldn't believe I found it, and I found it rather easy. But there was no spring. And I'm like, I could have sworn the first one had a spring that held it in. So when I went to go reinstall it, it like fit into the frame, or into the steel frame lock, or frame right here, or liners rather. It fit in the liner, but it like was free floating in there. So if you were to lift up, the ball would roll out. And then I realized it looks like between the scales and maybe the liner, I don't know, but it's pinched in there, and I keep like triple checking. I'm like, how is that still in there when it wasn't before? It was confusing, right? But either way, the bearing is in there. I just don't, there was no spring, or the spring shot out and I never saw it or heard it. Possible, but it is functioning just fine. Like, there's no, I have it all Loctite up and stuff now. There's no back and forth, no up and down, and I still have this action, so this is cool. So the reason this is the one, it's funny. My first smock I had, and I loved it, right? But I told myself, I don't love this as much as I love my Shaman, as much as I love my, I had one more Spyderco at the time that I'm sure I was comparing it to. No, my Shaman, my Super Freak, and then I had my Smock. Well, my Smock was my number 3 favorite. But the funny part is while I told myself my Smock was the number 3 favorite, it was in my pocket much more, and in my hand much more. Yes, it's a little bit more fidgety, but Super Freak's pretty freaking fidgety too. I mean, it's a great knife to fidget with. So, point being is just I did some soul searching, some reflecting. I looked in the mirror and I go, why is that? I haven't carried my Shaman since I got it. I'm not saying I don't like my Shaman. I thoroughly love my Shaman with the Aramis scales and stuff. It's just, why haven't I carried it? Well, while I enjoy it, it is kind of large, despite me liking large knives, when you can carry something with a profile that looks like this, right? I already have so much shit in my pockets. Like, I think what it is I am starting to, I used to like the thick, bulky blades that, like, they weren't super slicey, but they were tough. Well, now I'm starting to realize, like, I don't have a use for toughness. Like, in a folding knife, I don't need toughness. That's probably why edge retention is king, because there's nothing that I do that I really, really need toughness on. Now, every once in a while there is, but guess what? I got my Vero Fulcrum in my pocket, so anything that needs to be, like, mashed on, I have my pry bar. So I haven't found myself in need of toughness. Now, there's going to be situations, but I think I always knew that, but I always kind of lied to myself. So then I got these scales in last night, and I love the way this looks, this black on black. I wish that I had the black titanium. I might get some titanium and then send it into, like, REC and have them anno it or something, because this is a different type of DLC too. It's nice and shiny. But we'll see. We'll see what goes on. So, am I saying this is my favorite knife in my collection? Not necessarily. Am I saying that this morning, if I had to choose a knife that I would carry forever, it was this one. But keep in mind, it's new, the scales are new, but I can tell you that the design to me is not. And I sought out a custom smock. I don't have one, but I tried to find one at one point in time. That's how much I liked them. Just like the 8015. I wanted a custom 8015, and the thing is like there's no difference with the 8015, but I still wanted it. Wanted it. It sounds so arrogant and uppity. So there's that. So the smock is definitely a knife that is in my top 5 as far as favorite knives. I know it's kind of, oh, you got these other things, you've experienced these other things, and the smock is your favorite over the Shaman, over this? Yeah, kind of, because the fidget factor is fantastic. I mean, it's just really good. The carry factor is great. Are the ergonomics the best? No. But am I going to be doing something that's crazy hard use? Probably not. But that's just me. That's not you. I don't know what you guys do on a daily basis. Other than that, though, this grip where I'm not choked up does feel good. So there's a lot. I mean, this knife isn't the Spyderco ergonomic beast that most are, but I just really, really, really enjoy the look. I enjoy the lines. I enjoy the fidget factor. I mean, it's super slicey. It's a fantastic knife. So yeah, it's in my top 5. Out of everything that I've ever felt, not just out of my knives, out of everything that I've felt, this is in my top 5. Now you guys might say, oh, it's the honeymoon phase. Oh, it's that. This is my second smock. So no, it's not the honeymoon phase. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it and it's fun and I missed it. But so there was a couple honorable mentions here that I want to mention because I feel bad if I don't say these, because these are my babies too. This is my only 5th pocket knife that is a this knife. Every other one, including my wee Thug, my wee Roxy, the Riyadh Tashi Baruka small Krypton, there it is. I mean, I like those knives, but I'm probably going to get rid of them eventually. Like, I didn't think I was with the Thug and stuff, but I just have no reason to keep them. This ends up in my pocket more times than not. But there's 3 other knives that I currently own that I really did some self-reflecting and been like, if I had to get rid of my shit, which ones would I keep? Now, this isn't my final answer, but there's a lot of thought that went into this. So first was the knife that I carried yesterday, my Hinderer Skinny Sheep's Foot, XM18 3.5 inch. That means a lot to me because that was my first breakthrough Hinderer. That was my first big knife, and I actually like the skinnies better than I like the regular size Hinderer. Like, I kind of regret putting all that money into it. I know I'm not going to get it back unless I sell them separately. I might get away with, taking a $100 hit. But I love the sheep's foot design. I love the action, and it's on phosphor bronze, and it almost is drop shot. It's crazy. I love that I can customize it. It's just great. So the Hinderer is definitely on there. The next one that's on there, and again, you guys are going to be like, honeymoon phase, but no, because I had something like this that was very similar that I truly loved, and that is the Ray Laconico Wee Knives Esprit. That one, in my opinion, is kind of hands down the best EDC in your pocket. If I had to pick one just off the top of my head, hey, what is the best damn knife for EDC? Not for bushcrafting, not for outdoors, although it can work, but for EDC. The Wee Esprit, guys. The Wee Esprit and the Launch 10. These are your 2 best EDC knives that exist. Argue with it. Put it down below. Tell me what your 2 best knives are. Fifth and main pocket knife. But the Wee Esprit is so good. There's everything about it. It has everything that you want in an everyday carry. And the reason I say it's not the honeymoon phase, despite, it being relatively new, I wasn't gonna buy it, so I wasn't like super stoked on getting it. It wasn't something that I had to build myself up to or anything like that. I was kind of stretched thin, but I saw this and then I saw it was a Laconico design, and I'm like, shit, I gotta get that. Why? Because I have my small Centauri, which I don't have anymore. I actually gave that to my dad because he doesn't like big knives. He's not really a knife guy, and the small Centauri is kind of a cool knife to get for like a first knife. So I gave that to him, but it's a Ray Laconico, and that's why I gave it to him. I took Metal Complex's advice and don't give away something that you don't want to keep. Well, give away something that you think you want to keep. Why? Because it's good. That means you like it. So that's why I gave him the small Centauri. This is going on a long time. But then I had the Kaiser Gemini. That's truly why I love the Wii Esprit so much, is that it is so similar. There's so many similarities. But instead of Ray Laconico just doing that full flat grind like he always does, which is great for slicing because it's already thin, I mean, he did this kind of like cool, I forgot what they call it, when it meets in the middle, kind of at a star in the middle of the blade, or in points on the side. It's like where the swedge kind of comes down far, and then it has a name. I don't remember what it is. But it looks so cool, even though it's like kind of basic, it's all the same color, monotoned and stuff. And the action's great, just everything about that knife is so damn good, it's stupid. And then, so that's the other one. And then my last one that I could have carried today, but you guys have seen enough already. Hope everybody's okay. My last one that you guys have seen enough already is my Benchmade Bug Out. Never in a million years did I think I would say that. But almost better than the Wii Esprit for an everyday carry, that Benchmade Bug Out with the crossfade Flytanium scales. Holy shit. Like, I didn't like it. Wait till you guys see the installation and stuff. I didn't like it. And then I carried it and I tuned it and I'm like, oh, this is good. This is so good. It feels so good at hand. It feels like an entirely different knife, but it's still like 2.8 ounces, but you're getting a ton of blade length with a very thin blade. And I hate to be like, yo, the Bug Out is like in my top, but now I got a Bug Out in 20 CV with Flytanium scales on there, and I couldn't be happier. I mean, I need to get some new thumb studs, maybe some back spacers and stuff. We'll make it my own, but that's just such a good knife. Now, does that mean the SOCOM Elite to the Sebenza, the Zahn, the other Hinderer XM18, my Wii Malice? Yeah. Those knives, does that mean that those knives have no place in my collection or I don't think are good knives? No, not at all. I'm just saying, like, these are the knives that I would choose for me for forever. Now, that's assuming I can only have, 4 or 5 knives? So if I had to pick 10, that list would be different. But just off the cuff, that's kind of what my list would be if I had to pick 5 forever. And I was kind of shocked at like my soul searching moment of like, there's a Hinderer on there, but that Hinderer has more significance than just Hinderer, even though it's a fantastic knife. But there was no like upper level stuff. It's weird. Like I told you guys before, I started collecting knives and I like jumped so freaking head first into the collection thing that I kind of learned through just attrition and failures. And I went from $20 knives to $100 knives to $200 knives to $600 knives to a couple $1,000 knives within a matter of like 8 months. Like, unstoppable, addicted, intervention. But, so, I felt a lot, and it's kind of weird that once I climbed to a certain point where I was like, okay, like, I started noticing everything had nothing for me, right? Anything over the $200 to $300 price point, I kind of didn't appreciate as much as I should have. Hinderers being a little bit different in that category. I still think that my Skinny, I appreciate a lot about that. The Chris Reeves knives, I mean, I appreciate a lot about those, but I don't know. I carried them. I really like them. I love them, but I'm not in love with them. It's me, it's not them. But, you know, it's one of those things. So anyways, I know it sounds crazy, but you climb up, you kind of feel everything. Well, I feel that in that price range of where I just listed most of the knives, like that's where I'm happy. Those are the knives that I feel bring the most to the table. And it's not about value, but at some point in time, is a Sebenza awesome? For sure. But like, for me, I don't know that I get the value out of it that it costs. Now, does that mean I'm arguing with the price? No. not the Sebenza. Definitely not. I'm not arguing with the price. I'm just saying for me, right? Everything has to be tuned personally for you. For you. Not for me when it comes to me telling you. I'm telling you my preferences, not facts, right? So, those are my facts, my truths. I guess at the end of the day, what's in your pocket? What is your truth? Talk a little bit about it, right? Like, I just kind of went on a freaking monologue that I didn't mean to, but that's kind of the point of these truck chats, is I don't mind doing that. So, to the 4 of you that want to listen. That's all I got, guys. My name's Tyler. This has been Everyday EDC. And the Cadillac Escalade in front of me has a license plate that has the ribeye. Literally, R-I-B-E-Y-E for the license plate number. Probably shouldn't say that. People are going to look it up. But it's not like it's not public knowledge. Whatever. You guys stay sharp, stay safe, and have a great freaking rest of your day, guys. Thank you so much for watching.